It's about 6:30, and we have left Cuttyhunk, and the cell reception was pretty lousy there, but I did manage to pull down a weather forecast. It's for well, rain this morning. We've already had a squall, and maybe showers later, with small craft warnings this afternoon. So we got off to an early start and head east, a little bit north of East down the Elizabeth Island chain. I'll have to pull out the chain at some point when conditions are a little favorable for that. But and hopefully we'll get in there. There's a nice harbor, reputed to be nice. Never been there. Hadley Harbor up near Woods Hole should be protected all around, as opposed to Cuttyhunk, which wasn't that offering that good protection. So the winds are supposed to be out of the south, but they haven't quite made it there yet. They're kind of southeastish, so we're close haul. But hopefully they'll come around eventually. All right, I'll keep you posted as events unfold. It's a little before 9, and we've just about completed our passage down through or along the Elizabeth Islands. It was kind of rough there at the start, what with the rain, and needed to sail close hauled in a heavy wind with the south east winds, but the winds did eventually clock around to the predicted southerly direction. They seem to have abated a bit, although that may be just because we're going closer to downwind. But we're about 15 minutes from having to make a turn that'll take us back around to the south. So we'll be dousing the sails and starting the engine at that point, and I can show you the chart. Okay, this is the northernmost or easternmost of the major Elizabeth Islands, and we've come up along here, and we're headed for this buoy, which is the entrance buoy for the Woods Hole Passage. And that's where we're going to be making our turn, and we're going to come down to a harbor, Hadley Harbor, in here, which as you can see is well protected from pretty much any direction, and there's a blow up of that. Okay, here's our blow up. Here's that buoy that we're going to use to turn on. We might cheat and not go all the way up to that, and that's the entrance buoy to the Woods Hole Passage. But we're going to come down into Hadley Harbor. This is the outer harbor, but we're going to continue on in to the inner harbor and find someplace nice to anchor in here. So it's a little before 11 o'clock, and we are anchored in Hadley Harbor. I spent quite a bit of time just going around looking at the various corners of the harbor, finally picking someplace to drop the anchor. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. There's a very nice harbor here, all full of mooring balls. I don't know if you can see, there's a very nice big house up on the hill too. Now, the island is reputed to be owned by the Forbes family. It gets very high reviews on Active Captain, in part because there's free mooring balls that can be picked up. And maybe these are those. Well, most of these boats do not look occupied. And all of the mooring balls that I saw say private on them. So I don't know if those are the public ones or not. You know, some guy just came up and picked one up. I don't know, but we're not staying. So, after I got here, the weather didn't seem what had been forecast, so I checked the forecasting again, and the small craft warnings have been dropped. So prediction is 10 to 15. So we're not quitting. Then we're gonna keep going east someplace in a little bit. It was a nice harbor, though. Well, sorry, I missed filming all the exciting parts. We got into the Woods Hole Passage at exactly the wrong time. Maximum current going the other way, which makes things, a little more exciting than you really want them to be. Fortunately, we had plenty of wind, so we were able to make progress against the current. And find our way out here into, I'm guessing, Vineyard Sound, something like that. And things are a little lumpy out here, and it was worse a little while ago. We got a little further away from land, and so things aren't as severe as they were. I was nervous about the dinghy for a while. So the wind is closer than I'd like from directly behind us, and we're actually steering a little off to one side from our destination in order to keep wind in the jib, and we'll have to do something later to compensate. But despite the conditions, I was able to make a sandwich, so we can have some lunch. So today's sandwich is roast beef. Now that I've made it, hopefully it's calm enough to eat it. It's a little before 3 now, and we are safely anchored in Waquoit Harbor. I'm probably mispronouncing that terribly. I'll show you on the chart, and you can figure out your own way to pronounce it. We had a more exciting day than we really planned on. And I guess there's no other way to describe it, in addition to what I've already done here, is to once again go back to the chart. So we started a day in Cuttyhunk Harbor, here in the Elizabeth Islands. And we left the harbor and went up more or less along this track northeast, and now we'll have to go to another chart, and continuing up along the Elizabeth Islands. We went through this passage formed by the Waquoit Islands, and that was fun, and up into the entrance to the Woods Hole Channel, where we visited down here in Hadley Harbor, and of course decided not to stay. I swear that when I looked at the weather forecasts when I was there, they had dropped the small crack warnings, but well, if they did, they shouldn't have. And they're now back in the forecasts. So maybe I just misread them or something. Anyway, we then came out the Woods Hole Passage into Vineyard Sound, I'll call it, because Martha's Vineyard is right over here. And then proceeded east, out this way. Another chart, of course. So picking up here on the south coast of Cape Cod, and the Woods Hole Passage is, you know, just over here, right around the corner, and the vineyard is down there, Martha's Vineyard. And we came out and across this bay, and we were thinking of going on further to another bay way over here. But things were so exciting out here that I decided I'd had enough, and put the sails down and came in this little passageway. And we have a blow up of this, which is up here. So we came in here with a following sea, which was exciting, and into this shallow harbor, Waquoit, I don't know, Waquoit, and based on a recommendation in Active Captain, I'm anchored right up here. It seems rather nice. The wind is still blowing pretty hard out there. If I tried to show you a panorama of the harbor, you'd get nothing but wind noise. We are against the west side of the harbor, and there's some slight rise in the land and good trees. The wind is currently out of the southwest, and we're not getting much protection from that, but the wind is supposed to die down some and swing to the west during the night, so we should be better protected overnight, so that'll be good. So I'm not sure if I mentioned, got in about 2 o'clock is when we dropped the anchor, so it wasn't a long day, but still we covered, even with all the fooling around we did in Hadley Harbor, we covered more than 20 miles. But, you know, that's not hard to do when you have 20 to 25 knot winds. So we're going to relax. It's about time for our beer. Once again, we don't seem to have very good cell coverage. It didn't surprise me that much on Cuttyhunk, but it does surprise me here. But what are you going to do? All right. I think that's all to report on at the moment. It's about 20 after 5. I just had a phone conversation with my wife where we compared weather forecasts. We seem to be pretty much in sync for what's coming up. But the wind has died down quite a bit, so I think I can show you around the harbor a little bit. So out that way is I'm not sure what it is. I think here it would be Nantucket Sound. Anyway, open water where I came in. And it's a pretty big harbor. It's pretty shallow. I'm in about 5 feet of water, but not too developed. There's some houses and stuff over there with some boats, but lots of forested shoreline. The deepest place in the harbor is at the far end, and I don't know what good it does to have your boat there, since you need to go through the shallow places to get in and out, but that's where all the boats are moored. But it still leaves lots of room. And as we swing west, I can't go too far because the sun is over there, but we're in a nice forested shoreline, totally undeveloped, and it's now providing some protection, at least, from the wind that has shifted around to the west. Tonight for dinner we've got chili mac and a salad. In the salad we've got tomatoes, cucumber, carrot, and pepper, all from our garden. I don't think I forgot anything. There's some celery in there, but we don't grow celery. So, and we've got some wine, and that'll do it. Well, I'm sorry to say that this is as close as we come to getting a sunset today. As a consolation, we do get the moon drifting behind the clouds.